Howdy folks, bluesboyjag here with yet another walking cigar box guitar video. It's not really a lesson, but it's well, cigar box guitar information, I guess you'd say. I am in Sherwood, North Little Rock, Arkansas, and this is where I walk periodically amongst other locations. Beautiful day today. So a lot of people have asked me, what the heck is the difference between a single coil pickup and a humbucker? And what the hell does humbucker mean anyway? Well, humbucker bucks the hum. What does that mean, Jag? Well, the humbucker is wound in such a way that it reduces the hum. There you go. That's the short answer. So single coil pickup is wired in such a way, and I don't even know how to explain how it's wired, that makes these two pickups different. But a single coil tends to hum a little bit. Now you can ground your bridge, which means you have a wire going from your bridge to your volume pot. That's one way to do it. And 99.9% of the guitars out there are grounded so that you won't have any buzz or hum when you plug it into an amplifier, especially if you have the distortion settings cranked up on your amplifier. That will make the hum worse, and you can experiment with different amplifiers and different amplifier settings and different pickups and different guitars and so the long and short of it is, your single coil pickup, depending on your grounding in your house and depending on the manufacturer of the guitar and how well they did soldering it. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Hopefully you can see that. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. Depending on the manufacturer and how it's made and the quality of the pickup and the quality of the wiring and yada yada yada, generally speaking, a single coil pickup will hum a little bit. So if you have a Stratocaster or a Stratocaster knockoff guitar, plug that into any amp, turn the distortion up slightly, or don't turn the distortion up at all and turn the volume of the amp up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you will hear humming, usually on the lead pickup. Usually goes away in the middle setting. So that hum is what I'm talking about. So humbucker bucks the hum. It gets rid of the hum. It is grounded, and generally speaking, humbuckers, if it's a real humbucker, it won't hum. Obviously, a lot of these cheap Chinese made humbuckers are called humbuckers, but they're not humbuckers sometimes because they hum. If it hums, it's not a humbucker. The whole idea behind humbucker is to get rid of the hum, so it bucks the hum. So if you have humbuckers that hum, and there are a ton of different brands that hum, then it's not a humbucker. It's not a humbucker. I mean, it's not a humbucker. The whole idea behind a humbucker is to get rid of the hum. Ooh, look at that. Lots of times they play soccer and baseball here. The kids are out here at nighttime sometimes. So if you buy a humbucker guitar, cigar box guitar, or even a non-cigar box guitar, and when you flip the pickup selector switch over to the humbucker, or let's just say maybe it only has one pickup and it's the humbucker, if it hums, it's not a humbucker. It's called a humbucker, but they didn't wire it properly. Humbuckers should not hum, period. And I have come across a slew, like over 100 pickups over the years that were called humbuckers, ordered off of eBay and various other companies, and they hum. Those are not humbuckers. Humbuckers aren't supposed to hum, hence the name humbucker. So what else is the difference between a humbucker Jag and a single coil? I mean, other than the fact that the single coil tends to hum and the humbucker doesn't. Well, you get different tones out of different pickups. For instance, if I want a bright tone, I'll probably A, put the pickup closer to the bridge because that's what makes it brighter, and I'll B, probably use a single coil. Not necessarily, because you can get a bright tone out of a humbucker too. I usually put my humbuckers on my guitars in the middle of the box so that you get a good rounded tone. By that I mean not too bright, not too bassy. If you put the humbucker too far back, it's going to be pretty bright, and you really won't have very many tonal options. It's going to always be bright. So I tend to put the humbucker in the middle, and I tend to do the same with the single coil. So single coils will hum and humbuckers won't hum. However, like I said, if you buy a cigar box guitar that says it has a humbucker in there and it hums, it's not a humbucker. It looks like a humbucker, and it walks like a humbucker, and it quacks like a humbucker, but it's not a humbucker. So be careful about the guitars that you buy, and be careful if you are a cigar box guitar builder about the pickups that you buy, because you just might buy something that says it's a humbucker but it hums. If it hums, it ain't a humbucker, period. The whole idea behind humbucker is to buck the hum. Can I tell you which brands are actually humbuckers? Yes. Well, sort of. Generally speaking, a humbucker pickup that is a good quality, that actually is a real humbucker, is probably going to run you a little bit more money than a cheap humbucker. I would say you have a really good chance of a cheap humbucker humming, which means it's not a humbucker. It looks like one, and it walks like one, and it talks like one, but it is not a humbucker. So if you, for instance, buy a humbucker pickup and you decide to make your own diddly bow or cigar box guitar, and you buy a humbucker off of eBay, chances are it's going to hum. It's not a humbucker. I can't really tell you which brands. A lot of these companies have multiple names, but they're all manufactured by the same company. And sometimes they hum, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you can order a certain part number for a humbucker off of eBay and it will hum, and tomorrow you order the same damn part and it arrives and it doesn't hum. There is no rhyme or reason for a lot of these. So be careful if you order a cheap one. So what's a cheap humbucker? Jag, how much is a cheap humbucker? Well, anywhere from $7 to $25, which seems rather ridiculous, doesn't it? That's a pretty wide range, but that's just how it is. So how do you get rid of hum, Jag? If I have a humbucker, if I buy a cigar box guitar and I'm a beginner and I don't know anything about these humbucker things, and I plug my guitar in and it hums, how do I get rid of the hum? First thing you want to do is verify that your amplifier is grounded. How do I do that, Jag? Well, if it hums, take your amplifier, unplug it, move to another room, plug it in, try it there. If it still hums, move it to another room, try it there. If it still hums, do it again and again and again. You'd be surprised. I have experienced cases where I've moved to 3 or 4 different outlets with a certain guitar, right? The same amp, and 5 outlets hum, and the 6th outlet doesn't hum. Why? Don't know. Maybe some of these humbuckers that hum have, well, let's just say sometimes they hum a little bit, and you can sort of kind of get rid of that hum. Now, having said all that, a lot of people don't really even notice the hum. It doesn't bother them. It all depends on your settings of your amp and maybe some pedals. There's some duckies. A little bit breezy today. So if you have a pedal board, mess around. All I can tell you while I'm walking here, I can't give you hands-on instructions. Mess around with your distortion pedal, your volume. Mess around with some of your different pedals. Turn off some of the pedals. Sometimes I have to unplug certain pedals. Yes, I have to unplug certain pedals from my pedal board. Disable them to play a gig when it doesn't hum. So humbuckers can be really annoying because a lot of them actually hum. Now, back in the day, since I'm an oldster, I started playing guitar in 1978. Back in the day, you'd buy a humbucker, they did not hum, ever. Of course, they cost a lot more money back then. So a lot of these companies, not only guitar manufacturers and amplifier manufacturers and pickup manufacturers, but virtually everything that has a wire in it that you buy is made in China. And they have basically trained humanity to be, they've trained humanity to accept the fact that these are substandard products, and they are everywhere. This is a whole different ball game conversation now. That's a whole different subject, which I could pontificate on for hours and hours, so we won't go there. Suffice it to say that, generally speaking, humbucker under about 20 or 25 or 30 bucks is probably not a humbucker. So you want to make sure that your amp is grounded. You may want to make sure that your guitar is grounded properly. I have had cases where I can get rid of the hum when I'm making a cigar box guitar with a humbucker pickup in it if I double, triple, and quadruple ground the insides of the guitar. I won't get into all the details of how to do that, but basically you can use good old-fashioned foil, tin foil, put it inside the guitar. There's billions and billions of YouTube videos explaining how to do this. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes 2.5 hours, but I have had to do that from time to time. If a customer wants a specific looking humbucker pickup and it hums, then I will do that, and I'll ship that guitar and it will not hum. I can ground the guitar, generally speaking, and you can solve that problem. Sometimes, like I said, it's easy, sometimes it's not. So without having giving you an actual demo of what I'm talking about, the other way that you can ground a non-grounded humbucker and actually make it a humbucker so it doesn't hum is you take, and I will do a video of this at some point, so remind me if I forget. You can take a wire on the back end of your guitar, go from the jack, and then take the other end of the wire and ground it to any kind of a metal screw inside the guitar. Make sure it's grounded to the ground where your pickup is, and that should take care of that. It's sort of a pain in the butt, but it does work. I have done it many, many times. I have built cigar box guitars that didn't hum throughout the build process with multiple amps, and then when I finish and I put the strings on and I plug it into those same multiple amps, it hums with every single one of them. Why? How? I do not have any clue. It's confounding me. One of these days I'm going to write a whole book on why do humbuckers hum. So I know I'm going over a whole bunch of stuff here, but generally speaking, I prefer humbuckers because there's nothing worse than playing a gig and playing a song and having a cool mellow passage where you turn down the volume and you hear a whole bunch of hum when you turn the volume all the way back up, which is too loud for that quiet passage and too distorted for that quiet passage. So you can't get the proper sound you want without it humming. So it's very, very frustrating. And it's gotten to the point where so many people don't really know that a humbucker is not supposed to hum. Or they might hear a little bit of hum and they may not know that it's actually not a humbucker. And they're like, okay, this is great, I got my humbucker. It's really hard to explain, and it's very frustrating. But all I can tell you is experiment, do some if you're a builder, do your due diligence if you're not a builder, cigar box guitar builder. Check the internet and ask people what kind of experience they've had with the various cigar box guitars that are out there. A few years ago, 10-15 years ago, cigar box guitars with humbuckers didn't hum. Now the manufacturers are making humbuckers that are not humbuckers. They're humbuckers that hum, so therefore they're not humbuckers. And even this has even spread to non-cigar box guitars. This has been going on for decades with non-cigar box guitars, just regular guitars. However, it is spread wildly. So now, quote, name brand guitars do not have grounded humbuckers, but they ship them as humbuckers. It's gotten to the point where people don't know the difference anymore. So they're shipping guitars with quote humbuckers that are not quote humbuckers. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Rant, 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 rant. All right, one more last look at the pond here. Tranquil. That's a good word for it. So tonight, I'm going to be working on a cigar box guitar, and it's going to be a 3-string, and it's going to be a single coil. So what am I going to do, Jag, if that single coil hums? Well, the single coil, like I said, can't be grounded. So don't think that a single coil, you can't get rid of the hum. You can mitigate the hum to the point where it's hardly ever noticeable. And a lot of people play electric guitars. A lot of famous rock stars and blues stars play electric guitars, and their guitars hum all over the place, but they have learned how to set your pickup settings and your tone settings and your amp settings and so forth to mitigate that. They've also learned how to mute a lot, and I've been muting a lot forever on my electric guitars, especially back in the day when I cranked it up and we were playing loud rock and roll. Certain chords where I would bring down the volume, I would mute extra strings, so the strings that were humming would not come through the amplifier. So have faith, there are ways you can get around the hum. So thanks for watching. Be sure and subscribe. Check out my website, jagshouse.com. Cigar box guitars just like this one right here, which is not here. And we'll see you next time.